I'm here with my friend Mary Yeager, who is running for treasurer for the city of Norwood in the upcoming election in November. So Mary, tell us about your background.
Sure. My background is I'm a certified public accountant, certified fraud examiner, certified internal auditor, and chartered global management accountant. I've been a CPA since 2003, so about 15 years. A lot of CPAs specialize. I chose a different track, so I actually have a broad background in audit, tax, bookkeeping, consulting, fraud prevention, and detection. And as part of that, I've also served a multitude of entities, which includes local governments, school districts, individuals, small, medium, large businesses, as well as individuals and nonprofits.
Well, in your bio, I see lots of acronyms. So maybe you can explain some of those to us non-tax people. What's a CPA?
So CPA takes an exam and has to maintain professional hours of continuing education, where we make sure that we're up to speed on all those accounting related, could be tax, could be audit, so that we can serve the public. That's how, that's the middle of the initial, certified public accountant. We need to serve the public, so we need to make sure that we are knowledgeable so that we can serve them to the best of our ability.
What about that CFE?
Certified fraud examiner, that is specialized training to be able to prevent and detect fraud. And that would, again, be another resource that I have access to and training to prevent that.
Okay, and then two more, the CIA.
Certified internal auditor. There's a little difference between external and internal. External auditors are more concerned about the finances and whether the numbers are accurate. Internal auditor focuses more on how they're performing. Are they doing things in an efficient way? So it's a little bit different way of looking at it. Still an auditor, but a different perspective.
And the last one, the CGMA, what is that?
Chartered Global Management Accountant. And that's related to management, so to speak, with focusing on how to manage the business and having a specialized training in that area as well.
Okay, thanks. So as treasurer, what will be your priorities?
My first priority would be, as an internal auditor, I would go in there with the perspective of we need to figure out and assess the situation with the operations, what's going right, what's going wrong, what improvements can be made, and then to implement best practices. As a professional, I have resources available to me so that I can access them and start implementing them without having to hire somebody outside the city.
And the state of Ohio has guidelines that you have to follow?
Yes, I'm certified by the state of Ohio as a CPA, but then other designations, I have other responsibilities for each one of my designations.
Okay. So as treasurer, you'll be making several appointments if you're elected. How do you plan to fill those places?
I have already reached out to a finance director that I know from auditing and working on other local government engagements, and she gave me the resources to how they filled their positions and other ways that she suggested going about filling it. And then she had mentioned a couple other names in our conversation, and he said, "Oh yeah, I know those," and so it would be very easy for me to reach out to people to see how to best post the position so that we can get qualified applicants. But prior to hiring, my plan is to go in there full-time in order to be adequately and accurately assess what is needed in that office. Because of the issues that I have heard with bank reconciliations not being done, and that's coming up in audit findings, or CPAs complaining, or residents complaining tax returns aren't being prepared correctly, really need to figure out what's needed in that office and then hire out once I assess the skills and the personality that would best fit in the treasurer's office.
And what about, what are some things that you can do to update the office?
Well, a very simple thing I would think would be the website. Currently it just has the tax forms and the tax code on it. What I envision is turning it into a resource for residents. For example, tax tips, like for there's always changes to the tax code every year. And having a section up there so that residents and businesses can at least go there and say, hey, what's new? Or what should I look out for if I prepare my own tax returns? Mm-hmm. Or there's issues I see common with Norwood is the tax credit not being calculated correctly, and so residents get it bumped back to them to fix. Again, would be creating like a section where top errors on a return to highlight it so that residents know, hey, I need to make sure I'm not doing these common errors so that I don't get my tax return back to me. But I do want to turn the website into a place where people say, hey, I can get information from the treasurer's office other than just a tax form.
Right, that'd be very helpful. So in closing, if there's one thing that you'd like to share with the citizens of Norwood before Election Day, what would that be?
That would be, this office has been under the same management for 20 years. And after 20 years, it should be a model of, I feel it should be a model of efficiency, absolute outstanding customer service, but it's not. We have had findings from the state of Ohio year after year on management letter comments where the bank reconciliations aren't being done. And quite frankly, I don't know why the treasurer's office hasn't fixed it, even though they've been written up every year. Residents with their tax returns who are complaining that the form's confusing or they never get their taxes right and they don't trust them because they have friends where the tax return was not prepared correctly. So it's just, I foresee that those problems just need to get addressed and need to get fixed, and I plan to really do something about that if elected.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Again, this is Mary Yeager. She's running for treasurer for the city of Norwood on November 7th. Get out and vote.
Just a moment ago, you saw Debbie and I have a nice conversation about my qualifications and what I hope to do with the treasurer's office if elected. And I'd like to further elaborate on some of my qualifications so that you are better informed on when you go to the polls to vote this November. One thing I'd like to bring up is my professional education requirement. I believe this shows what's needed in the office. I have to do 120 hours every 3 years. In my last 3-year cycle, years 13, 14, and 15, I completed over 300 hours. And I bring this up because I want to give you an example that I don't just do the minimum that needs to get done. When I serve the public, I take it very seriously. And if I see a way or an opportunity to make myself better, then I will do that, which is why I did the 300 hours. I want to be able to serve the public to the best of my ability. In addition to the continuing professional education, one thing that could be of concern is people are frustrated and they don't trust government. One thing I have to do as a fraud examiner is to take an ethics class every year. And we are trained, and I get training on what to look out for with behavioral, how people steal. All of those things will help in the office to create a trusted environment. I want to bring that to the government in the city of Norwood. I want people to trust the government so that when they see the numbers, they're confident and they're not concerned or doubting. I want them to be absolutely sure, to the best of my ability, that I'm bringing you accurate, transparent information. And then along with that, kind of tied into the problems where the current treasurer's office isn't doing the job that they need to be doing. Over the past, I went back to the audits for 2008, and there were findings for the bank reconciliation. There was a reconciling item that the treasurer's office could not explain for about $264,000. They had no response to the state. And that finding about not being able to do the bank reconciliation it's been on the audit report or a management letter for year after year after year, and the treasurer's office has not addressed it, despite the state writing them up year after year. The most current one is December 31st of 16. There's $15,000 not reconciled, but I did find out recently that that number between December and September has now jumped up to $28,000. That is inexcusable. He has been in office for 20 years. There's no reason that you can't reconcile a bank statement when you've been in their office for 20 years. And then the issues with the residents. I had one resident come to me because they didn't trust the City of Norwood Tax Department because of an issue they had with a friend. So she had me look at her tax return, which the City of Norwood said that there were issues with, so they corrected it for her, sent her a revised one. I looked it over. The City of Norwood got the revision wrong. It's no wonder that residents don't trust the city, that their tax returns are being prepared accurately. I want to fix that. I want to bring trust back into the treasurer's office. And then also, one thing I've noticed after years of attending Norwood City Council meetings is the treasurer's office regularly reports that what the earnings were for this month, what they were there for the same period last year, and that's it. That's not information. I mean, it's a couple of facts, but it doesn't say why it's up, why it's down. I mean, how are people supposed to respond to that? And then also, what you would also expect, the state of Ohio had changes to the municipal income tax code. Other entities, other governments, created an impact analysis. The treasurer's office for those cities created that impact analysis. Did our Norwood treasurer do that? No, he did not. There's now the issue with centralized collections and the concern with that with local governments. Has our city treasurer done any kind of an impact analysis as to what centralized collection, how that will impact the City of Norwood? No. Not that I've seen. It's certainly not on his website. The website only has forms and tax code. There is so much more that the city treasurer's office can provide with regard to information to help the citizens be confident about how the treasurer's office is run. And my goal is to do that. My name is Mary Yeager, and I ask for your vote this November. Thank you.